There are moments when the night feels too quiet, when your heart carries questions no one else can hear, when you wonder if your prayers are rising any higher than the ceiling above you. You sit there, holding on to hope with tired hands, asking yourself if anyone sees, if anyone knows, if anyone cares. In those moments, the world can convince you that you are forgotten, overlooked, standing alone in the shadows of life. But hear this clearly. With every fiber of your soul, you are not alone. Not now, not ever. There is a God who sees you where you are. Not where others think you should be, not where you once were, but right here in this very moment. He sees the silent tears you never explain. He hears the prayers you whisper because saying them out loud feels too heavy. When you feel abandoned, heaven is not silent. When you feel forgotten, heaven is not empty. God is present and He is at work even when you cannot feel His hand. Think of the seed buried deep in the soil. From the outside, it looks like an ending. Darkness surrounds it. Pressure weighs it down. Silence becomes its only companion. But underground, something extraordinary is happening. Roots are forming. Life is preparing to break through. The seed is not abandoned, it is being prepared. And so it is with you. What feels like a burial may actually be a planting. What feels like delay may be divine preparation. Some of the strongest people you know have walked through valleys they never wanted to enter. They cried prayers they never thought they would have to pray. They waited through seasons that felt endless, yet those same valleys became the place where faith was refined, where character was shaped, where dependence on God grew deeper than ever before. God does not waste pain. He does not ignore struggle. He transforms it. You may be carrying disappointment right now. Dreams that didn't unfold the way you imagined. Doors that closed without explanation. Relationships that ended with more questions than answers. And it hurts. God is not offended by your pain. He invites you to bring it to Him. The same God who parted seas and raised the dead is gentle enough to sit with you in your sorrow. He is close to the brokenhearted, and He saves those who are crushed in spirit. There was a time when people stood at the edge of impossibility, trapped between fear and faith. Ahead of them was an obstacle they could not cross. Behind them was danger they could not escape. It looked like the end, but God made a way where there was no way. Not before they arrived, not after they turned back, but right when they needed it most. God's timing is never early, never late, always perfect. And what He did then, He can do again. You may not see the full picture, but God does. You may not understand the delay, but God understands the destination. While you wait, He is shaping something beautiful. He is aligning circumstances you cannot see. He is protecting you from outcomes you do not yet understand. Sometimes God says no, because He has a better yes waiting ahead. Sometimes He asks you to wait because the blessing needs time to grow strong enough to last. Do not let the silence fool you. Just because you do not hear Him does not mean He is absent. Just because you do not see movement does not mean nothing is happening. The artist works quietly before revealing the masterpiece. The builder lays foundations long before the walls rise. God is preparing something beautiful for you, something that will not only bless you but strengthen you. There is hope for the weary soul, hope for the one who feels unseen, hope for the one who wonders if life will ever make sense again. Your story is not over. This chapter is not the conclusion. God is still writing, still shaping, still calling beauty out of ashes. What the enemy meant to destroy you, God can use to define you. Lift your eyes beyond the moment. Lift your heart beyond the pain. Trust that the same God who carried you through yesterday will hold you steady today and guide you into tomorrow. You are not forgotten in heaven's plan. You are not overlooked in God's purpose. You are known, loved, and carefully guided. One day you will look back and see how every tear watered your faith, how every delay strengthened your trust, how every closed door redirected you towards something greater. You will see that God was with you in the waiting, with you in the struggle, with you in the silence. And you will know that even when you felt alone, you never truly were. So stand firm. Hold on. Keep believing. Keep praying. Keep trusting. The night will not last forever. The seed will rise. The beauty will be revealed. And when it is, you will know that God was faithful all along, preparing something beautiful just for you. There are times in life when the weight of loneliness presses so deeply on the heart that even breathing feels heavy. You may look around and feel unseen, as if your pain is invisible and your prayers are unheard. In those moments, the enemy whispers lies, telling you that you have been abandoned, that no one notices your struggle, that God has turned his face away. But those whispers are not the truth. The truth is that you are never abandoned, not for a single moment, not for a single breath. God sees you with a clarity that goes beyond human understanding, and his presence does not depend on how you feel or what you see. God sees you in the places where others cannot follow. He sees you when you smile in front of people, but cry alone at night. He sees the strength it takes to get up each morning when your heart feels broken. Nothing about your life is hidden from him. Every tear that falls from your eyes is known by him, and every sigh that escapes your lips is heard in heaven. Even when your prayers feel weak, even when all you can offer are broken words and heavy silence, God understands the language of your heart. There are moments when you cry out and feel no immediate answer, and it is easy to assume that God is distant. But silence does not mean absence. A loving parent does not always speak, yet never stops watching over their child. In the same way, God remains close, even when you cannot sense him. He is present in the waiting, present in the confusion, present in the unanswered questions that keep you awake at night. His nearness is not measured by emotions, but by his unchanging promise to never leave you nor forsake you. When life overwhelms you, God does not turn away. He draws closer. He listens when you pour out your fears. He knows the depth of your discouragement and the weight of your disappointment. Long before you speak, he already knows what you need. Long before you ask, he has already made provision. The God who formed you understands every part of you, and nothing you face takes him by surprise. You may feel forgotten by people who once promised to stay. You may feel neglected by a world that moves on without noticing your pain. But God does not forget. He does not overlook. He does not abandon his children. Even when others walk away, his presence remains steady and faithful. In your weakest moments, when your strength has run out and your hope feels fragile, God becomes your refuge. There are times when all you can do is sit quietly, unsure of what to pray or how to move forward. Even then, God is there. He sits with you in the stillness. He carries you when you no longer have the strength to stand. He understands your doubts, your fears, and your questions, and he is not disappointed in you for having them. His love is not conditional on your performance or your perfection. Every step you take, God walks with you. Every burden you carry, he helps you bear. You are not wandering through life unnoticed. You are known, deeply and completely known, and you are held by a God who is attentive to every detail of your life. Even when the path feels dark and uncertain, his presence surrounds you steady and unchanging, reminding you that you are never alone, not now, not ever. There are seasons when life feels unfair, when pain arrives without warning and waiting stretches longer than you ever expected. In those moments, it is easy to believe that hardship is a sign of failure or punishment, that something must be wrong for things to feel this difficult. But hardship is not always a sign that God is displeased. Often, it is evidence that he is at work in ways the human heart cannot yet understand. Seasons of waiting and pain are not designed to break you, they are meant to prepare you. Preparation rarely feels comfortable. Growth often happens in hidden places, far from applause and recognition. Just as gold is refined in fire and not in comfort, faith is strengthened in trials, not in ease. What feels like resistance may actually be refinement. God uses seasons of struggle to shape endurance, humility, and trust, qualities that cannot be developed in moments of ease. The waiting you endure today is shaping the strength you will need tomorrow. Pain has a way of slowing us down, forcing us to confront things we would otherwise ignore. In those quiet and difficult moments, God draws your attention away from distractions and toward what truly matters. He teaches you to rely on Him rather than your own understanding. When familiar supports fall away, you discover that His presence is enough. Waiting seasons are not empty, they are filled with unseen work taking place within you. Many of the greatest transformations happen when nothing appears to be happening at all. You may feel stuck, overlooked, or delayed, but God is never inactive. While you wait, He is building patience. While you endure pain, He is strengthening your character. While you question His timing, He is aligning circumstances that will one day make sense. Preparation often looks like delay, but delay does not mean denial. Waiting can be one of the hardest disciplines of faith because it requires trust without evidence. It asks you to believe that God is good even when life feels heavy. Yet it is in waiting that faith grows roots deep enough to withstand future storms. A faith that has been tested by waiting becomes steady and unshakable. God knows exactly how much time is needed to prepare you for what lies ahead. Pain also has a way of opening the heart to compassion. What you suffer through today equips you to understand and help others tomorrow. The very wounds that cause tears now can become sources of healing for others later. God does not waste suffering. Every trial carries purpose, even when that purpose is not immediately visible. You may feel weary from waiting, tired from carrying questions with no answers. But God sees the full picture from beginning to end. He knows what He is preparing you for, and He knows when you will be ready. The process may feel slow, but it is intentional. Nothing in your life is random or overlooked. Even in the hardest seasons, God remains close. He walks with you through the pain, strengthening you step by step. The preparation may be painful, but it is producing something greater than you can imagine. What lies ahead requires a deeper faith, a stronger heart, and a greater trust, and this season is shaping all of that within you. There are moments when a door closes so suddenly that it leaves you standing in confusion, staring at what might have been. You replay conversations, decisions, and prayers, trying to understand why things ended the way they did. Disappointment settles in, and doubt begins to whisper that perhaps you were mistaken, perhaps your hope was misplaced. But not every closed door is a failure. Often, it is an act of protection you cannot yet see. God sees beyond the moment and beyond your limited view. He understands outcomes you are not yet able to imagine. When something ends, it is not always because you were unworthy or unprepared. Sometimes it ends because it would have led you somewhere harmful, draining, or far from the purpose God has for your life. What feels like rejection may actually be divine redirection, guiding you away from pain you never had to endure. Loss has a way of clouding perspective. When something is taken away, the heart naturally focuses on what is missing rather than what has been spared. Yet God in His wisdom knows when something will not bring the peace, growth, or future you are praying for. He closes doors not to disappoint you, but to guard your heart and protect your destiny. Even when you do not understand the reason, His decision is rooted in love. Redirection can feel unsettling because it disrupts plans and expectations. You may have envisioned your life unfolding in a certain way, only to find yourself on an unfamiliar path. But God is not confused by detours. He often uses them to position you exactly where you need to be. What you see as a setback may actually be a setup for something far greater than what you originally hoped for. There are blessings that come disguised as delays. God sometimes holds back what you want in order to give you what you truly need. He knows the weight of what lies ahead and prepares you accordingly. A premature blessing can become a burden, but a timely one brings peace and lasting impact. In holding something back, God is often strengthening you and shaping the circumstances around you. Trust becomes most difficult when outcomes do not match expectations. It takes faith to believe that God's plan is better when your heart aches with disappointment. Yet God's understanding far exceeds human reasoning. He sees every possibility, every consequence, every turning point. When He redirects your path, it is always toward life, purpose, and fulfillment, even if the journey feels uncertain at first. There are times when you will look back and realize that the very thing you begged God for would have caused you harm. What once felt like heartbreak will reveal itself as mercy. The door that closed saved you from a road that would have drained your joy, compromised your values, or delayed your growth. God's protection is not always obvious in the moment, but it is always present. Even when you feel disappointed, God remains faithful. He does not abandon you after closing a door. He walks with you into the new path He has prepared. Every step forward, even hesitant ones, are guided by His hand. The redirection may feel uncomfortable, but it is leading you closer to the purpose and peace He has designed for your life. There are seasons when everything grows quiet, when the prayers that once flowed easily now feel heavy on the lips, and the signs you hoped for seem to disappear. In that silence, doubt can begin to speak louder than faith. You may wonder if God is still listening, if He has stepped back, if the distance you feel is real. But silence does not mean God has stopped working. Often, it means His work has moved beyond what your eyes can see. Much of the most important work in life happens unseen. Foundations are laid below the surface long before a structure ever rises. Roots grow deep in darkness before a tree bears fruit. In the same way, God often does His greatest work in silence, shaping outcomes long before revealing them. When there is no visible movement, He is still arranging details, aligning timing, and preparing hearts. Silence requires trust because it removes the comfort of immediate reassurance. It asks you to believe in God's faithfulness without constant confirmation. Yet faith that depends on constant signs remains fragile. Faith that endures silence becomes strong and resilient. God uses quiet seasons to deepen your trust, teaching you to rely on His character rather than on visible results. When answers are delayed, it is easy to assume nothing is happening. But delay is not inactivity. God's plans often require precise timing, and every element must be in place before the moment arrives. What you cannot see are the conversations, circumstances, and changes taking place behind the scenes. God is orchestrating events far beyond your reach, working in ways that will eventually reveal His wisdom. Silence can also be an invitation to listen more closely. In the absence of noise, the heart becomes more aware of God's presence. The stillness creates space for reflection, for surrender, for growth. It is in quiet moments that fears surface and faith is refined. God uses these seasons to shape your inner life, strengthening your foundation so that when blessings come, you are prepared to receive them. There are times when God chooses not to explain what He is doing. Explanations may comfort for a moment, but trust transforms for a lifetime. When you do not have all the answers, you are invited to walk by faith rather than by sight. This kind of trust deepens your relationship with God, moving it beyond dependence on circumstances. You may feel like nothing has changed, but within you, something is shifting. Your patience is growing. Your endurance is strengthening. Your reliance on God is becoming more complete. These changes are subtle, often unnoticed, yet they prepare you for what lies ahead. God's silence is never empty. It is filled with purpose and intention. Even when the night feels long and the quiet feels heavy, God remains active. He is working beyond your awareness, weaving together pieces of your story with care and precision. What seems like stillness is often preparation in progress, and when the time is right, what has been happening in secret will come to light in ways that reveal His faithfulness and wisdom. There comes a moment when the heart begins to understand what the mind could not grasp before. After the waiting, the silence, the pain, and the questions, a quiet assurance rises within you that you were never walking alone. Every step you took, even the uncertain ones, was seen. Every tear you shed mattered. Every prayer you whispered was heard. God was present in ways you could not recognize at the time, guiding you through paths that were shaping you for something greater. Life often reveals its meaning only when you look back. What once felt like loss begins to look like protection. What once felt like delay begins to look like perfect timing. What once felt like weakness begins to look like strength formed under pressure. God was not absent in your struggle. He was active, building endurance, faith, and depth within you. He was preparing you not just for a blessing, but for the responsibility and maturity to carry it well. You may still be in the middle of your journey. The answers may not yet be clear, and the outcome may still feel uncertain. But hope does not depend on clarity. It depends on trust. Trust that God knows the end from the beginning. Trust that His plans are rooted in love, not harm. Trust that what He is preparing will be worth every moment of waiting. The beauty He is forming in your life is not rushed, because rushed things rarely last. There is purpose even now in this very moment. Your faith is stronger than it was before. Your heart is more aware, more compassionate, more resilient. You have learned to lean on God instead of your own understanding. You have learned that peace does not come from having all the answers, but from knowing who holds them. These lessons are part of the beauty God is preparing, shaping you into someone who can stand firm no matter what comes. As you move forward, do not let fear define your expectations. Let faith guide your steps. Do not measure God's work by what you see today, but by who He has shown Himself to be time and time again. He has carried you through storms you thought would destroy you. He has sustained you in moments when you felt you could not go on. The same God who brought you this far will not abandon you now. There is still more ahead, more healing, more clarity, more purpose, more joy than you can currently imagine. God is faithful to complete what He has begun in you. What feels unfinished is still in progress. What feels broken is being restored. What feels delayed is being prepared with care. So hold on with confidence. Walk forward with hope. Rest in the truth that your life is not random, your pain was not meaningless, and your future is not uncertain in God's hands. You are not alone. You never were. And the beauty God is preparing for you will arrive at exactly the right moment, revealing that every step of the journey had meaning all along.